Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. Ever since Rogue One, the galaxy far, far away has been a bit of a mixed bag. For every Mandalorian, there is a Solo, and for every Ahsoka, there's a Rise of Skywalker. So when a new animated show featuring everyone's favorite prequel jobber was announced, there was plenty of anticipation mixed with a healthy dose of trepidation. Now that we've had a chance to give it a watch, the sentiment seems to be nearly unanimous, with a Rotten Tomatoes score just under 100% and tons of critic and fan accolades. Maul Shadow Lord is a blatant success. So now that the educated arbiters of taste and unwashed masses have spoken, we're left to ask, what do the idiots have to say? Well, we're glad you asked, because we're going to break it all down for you in this episode 246, Maul or Nothing. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, the man who once dragged me out on the eve of college graduation to a cinema in Barrington, New Hampshire, with the promise of seeing the new Darth Vader. He has been my partner in Idiocy for over 2 decades, and yes, I will continue to remind him of my disappointment with the Phantom Menace until we're both in a nursing home. I give you the man they call Tim.
Greetings and salutations, my friend, and that is once again multi-time fantasy football champion, the man they call Tim.
Don't stop with the fake championship.
I'm just saying,
fake sport and your fake team.
Multi-time champion, ladies and gentlemen.
Nobody cares.
I do.
Nobody.
And I believe our listeners care and would appreciate it if you would.
I feel like Paul Heyman when R-Truth came out to the ring and was talking to him and Brock Lesnar. Like, nobody likes you. Nobody cares.
But yes, you still hold.
I love how you're not doing the matcha the early when we're recording now. You're like straight into the bourbon.
No, I ended up, so I had dinner, went for a walk with my wife, and then when I got in, we've been going every Saturday to our local farmers market, and we get every Saturday a pint of strawberries. We get blueberries, raspberries, and I like to try to eat through them because by the time we get to the following Saturday, whatever we bought the previous Saturday is usually not in good shape. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like it's
very true.
You got to eat this stuff. So I made myself a little Greek yogurt and put some strawberries, blueberries, raspberries into that, mixed it all up, had a little parfait, if you will. And now that I had that, it's really funny because I was thinking about the matcha, and I'm like, I kind of like the matcha has a denseness to it, and when I'm drinking it, it's usually when I haven't had like a big dinner or it's been a while since dinner, and it just feels like a nice drink, not a snack, but just like a something substantive,
like a dessert drink, yeah,
kind of. And so I wasn't feeling it because I already had like the fruit, and so I knew I was going to go right to this, my friend. And so we're just enjoying a nice glass of Old Forester. And
so you like the Greek yogurt, huh?
I do like the Greek yogurt.
I'm just not I've learned, like, I've tried different things. I'm just not a yogurt person.
Good for your gut too.
I know, and that's why I keep trying it, because I'm like, I know this stuff is actually good for me, but I can't get by it.
Have some Greek yogurt, drizzle some honey on top of it.
I've tried Greek yogurt, dude. I've tried the honey flavor.
Strawberries. Have strawberries with
vanilla. I've tried, putting fruit in it. I've tried this. And it's just, but yogurt in general, it's the same thing. Even if it's not Greek yogurt, it's just kind of, the only yogurts I like are like the whipped ones that I know are damn near close to pudding. Yeah. And there's no health benefits. I'm like, of course, this is the one I like,
You know what is the best part of Greek yogurt? So you can eat it like a dessert, and then you can turn right around, and the next night, if you make some taco meat and stuff, you throw that on. There's your sour cream. It is a beautiful complement to the taco meat, my friend.
I was going to say, after you get finished, oppa!
Kind of. little bit.
That would actually
usually
be
it
awesome.
involves walking around the house with the belt. So
if I could do some of the Greek dances, that'd be great. But I don't think I can. I'm not that coordinated.
No, you just got to break out the oba strut.
That I can do.
That you can do. Well, how are you, sir? And now that we've gotten through the whole non-Greek yogurt fascination, how are you? Are you ready to talk Maul? Were you impressed?
I am. As per usual, I'm pretty good for the shape that I'm in. That is my perpetual.
I got a question
answer
for
these
you.
days. Yes, sir. Whatever
happened? I have
Eggplant.
a burning question that our listeners have sent in to me.
Oh, God,
several
here
of
we
them.
go.
They want to know: do we need to do a wellness check on one intern, Patrick?
I mean, that's always a good idea because God only knows what he's up to. Honestly,
it's been a while since we've heard from him. Is he even still on the payroll here? What I mean?
He wasn't on payroll. That was the whole gimmick. That's a whole benefit of having an intern. He's unpaid.
Well, I know, but
it was supposed to be like a 6-month unpaid internship, and then he just never left.
But he's got to be recognized as part of the organization, right? I mean, come on.
I mean, vaguely, yes. I mean, but he's not on the org chart. He's kind of like a Post-it note that was kind of off to the side on the org chart.
See, ladies and gentlemen, our org chart is here's Uncle Todd, here's Man They Call Tim, and way down in the lower right corner of the slide, there's a little square that's with a P on it, which is Patrick. So.
Well, no, it was a Post-it note that I had written something else on. I crossed it off, and then down the corner of the Post-it note is Patrick.
Oh my gosh.
Written in pencil, just in case.
Yes. Yeah. For those listeners, if you're a recent listener and don't know what we're talking about, do go back to our pre-video versions of this podcast because Uncle Todd had some amazing back and forths with the end. Well, back, I guess. There was never a fourth from Patrick. It was more Uncle Todd just having kind of a conversation with him and trying to set him straight.
I'm not giving Patrick the mic because one, he's an intern. I don't trust that he will live up to the levels of the show. And second, you never know where his hands have been. So I don't want to touch this thing. Are you kidding?
Oh,
I'm up to date on my shots, but I don't know if I think you need like the same type of shots you get if you're going to like Zaire. If you're going to handle the same things, especially when you're going to handle them and then put them close to your mouth.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which I mean, you are known to do. So yeah.
Well, look at me right now. That's the whole point of a microphone is you put it close to your mouth. Indeed. So one of these days, Patrick, I have heard from Patrick intermittently.
Okay.
The last I heard, he was on a trans-Canadian railroad trip.
Okay.
I don't know how he quite got into Canada because with relations between the U.S. and Canada being what they are and him lacking a passport, I don't know how he managed to enter the country in any kind of valid way because the more I think about it now, I don't think Patrick had a driver's license.
You did tell him that the gold rush was over 150, 200 years ago, right? He isn't going to the Yukon region and thinking he's going to make his bones out there, is he, or what?
I mean, he might. I mean,
all right.
Hope and idiocy spring eternal. You know how that works.
Lord knows we're familiar with that.
And there's a reason why he was our intern. So, take that into advisement.
Oh my
But
gosh.
no, he was taking the railroad from, I believe he was saying Nova Scotia all the way to Vancouver.
Oh,
now,
okay.
the issue that I run into there is I don't believe that he actually bought a passenger ticket. He might have been in a freight car. I don't know, but it would explain a lot of his cooking habits at the office where it seemed like he was learning how to cook as a hobo.
Yeah.
So it does. All of it is starting.
You
to
did
make
mention
sense.
many dishes with pertaining to fish or something. So maybe he found his way onto like a fish freight car or something like that.
The
was
thing
just
is,
eating his way across.
It was one thing when he was heating up fish in the microwave, but then when he tried to start cooking over a Folgers coffee can with a couple of charcoal briquettes in it, then it just got even worse. That's when it just...
There's some fire laws being violated there, wasn't there?
Oh, every fire law and decency and good health and everything. Yeah, decorum. Every law was being broken. So that's where Patrick is right now. If I find out in the next, before we record, today is Wednesday.
Yes.
If I find out before Sunday what's going on, I'll provide an update, but that's going to depend on whether he's been shanked by some hobo for stealing, his gunny sack or something. I don't know.
Could be.
We'll see.
Could be. Well, from one story of a Padawan to another, we're going to transition over into Maul Shadow Lord.
Not my Padawan. I just
Are you sure? Because it kind of seems like it.
I never formally accepted him as a student of anything.
Well, when exactly did this show come out? Because I started watching it last week, and prior to that, I know my kids, my youngest, had watched the series. So I thought it was like, let me just double check.
It wasn't that long ago, unless it's released this year, of course.
Yeah.
Episode guide. Let's see here. Monday, April 6th was the premiere.
Okay. And I forget, did all 10 episodes come out, or did they do it? They couldn't have done it by week, right?
It was 2 at a time.
2 at a time.
So, 2 at a time, two. Yeah, so 2 at a time, 5 weeks.
Okay.
But yeah, no, this kind of snuck up on me, at least. And that's because I haven't been keeping up a ton on a lot of upcoming things. Like I've still got to make sure I go see Mandalorian and Grogu because the dates keep flying by. But this one kind of snuck up on me, even though when we did do a trailer reaction to this a while back.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember thinking, wow, this could be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so when it got released, it was actually a couple weeks before I finally started watching it, just because of, life and everything else going on. So I feel like I was very much outside the zeitgeist because this seemed to hit in a big bad way, especially among Star Wars fans. So it's kind of weird that we didn't talk more about it as it was going on. But I think that a lot of that just comes down to each of us having a lot going on and not really catching up with this until the past, week and a half, maybe. So
I think so. Yeah.
That's my excuse, and that's what I'm sticking to.
Indeed. 1 second. Who are the two? I'm trying to figure out. Let's see.
Don't worry, we just have a bunch of dead air here. I'm sure people.
Yeah, well, talk.
I just said I was giving you your turn to talk.
I'm looking something up right now.
Do you need to put on your glasses because you seem to be squinting quite a bit?
No, I'm good.
You sure?
Let's see.
Maybe you just need to move the screens 5 feet away.
All right. All I was trying to do was look up the names. So I know one of the guys who fought against him was Marok, who was from Ahsoka.
Yes.
And who was the other guy who was from Tales of the Jedi? Because I didn't watch that series, so I don't know.
10th brother or something like that. I don't know if they ever spoke.
Oh, that's his name is the 10th brother. Okay.
Yeah. Where's the Wikipedia on this? Maybe
let me look here. Okay, so we have Marok, and then we have. Although he doesn't really say anything, so I don't know if he's going to get a credit here.
Marok, I believe, spoke, but I don't think
the other one did.
Yeah, the one with the cow skull head or something. Yeah, it's not even showing where I'm trying to find. You know what? I could just search for Inquisitors. Here we go. We are so prepared for this. Inquisitors in Maul. Here we go.
11th brother.
11th brother and Marok.
Okay.
The former first brother. So what, he got demoted?
Interesting.
Anywho, so there you go. Yeah, we have not just one Inquisitor, we have two, because why not?
I didn't mean to jump ahead, but I wanted to make sure I had those names in my head before we got going here. So
no worries.
But basically this show takes place before so it seems to be shortly before Solo. We know it's definitely before Rebels,
Yes.
which is where Maul meets his demise at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Again.
And we're kind of picking things up with him in kind of mid mission, if you will. But before we get into the story too much, what were your overall thoughts on the show?
Bloody brilliant.
Bloody brilliant. Why bloody brilliant?
Just everything about this felt right. Like everything felt appropriate. Nothing jumped out to me as like, oh, why did they do that? Why was that? Why that choice? Why not a faster pace, a slower pace? Like every episode felt like the tension was just at the right pace, you know, and the animation was fantastic. The story was great. Every character seemed to have a purpose. There wasn't anyone just kind of hanging around. You know, they all kind of served some purpose throughout the show. And it was a very interesting way to tell a story without having to invoke, some of the main characters that we're used to just being, well, we got to get back to the Skywalkers or something like that. Like by the time you get in a real established character, like it becomes the cherry on top of an already delicious sundae. So like everything about this to me was just, it was literally like finishing it. I was like, that is what I want in Star Wars. And it makes sense because a lot of the Star Wars that I have loved that is, has been stuff that's not necessarily like built into those main characters. Like absolutely loved Rogue One. Thought, it to me, it is still one of the best Star Wars movies. Really liked Rebels because to me, again, even though you're still grabbing some of those main characters, like it was the first time I saw anything that was that off the beaten track of what Star Wars had done and be like, oh, wait a minute, the rebellion just wasn't here. Like there's these other aspects to it. Mandalorian, prime candidate of like, here's a corner of the Star Wars universe that we really don't, hasn't been talked about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all of it, like this kind of fit that bill as well. Like here is something that makes sense. It fills in an area and it's not like, oh yes, we're going back to Tatooine again. We're going back to Coruscant again. Like, no, we're on a different planet. And of course, the other aspect of this is it's, and I know that these stories develop over a long period of time, but man, did this one kind of feel timely of our world right now. And the idea of what's it like when, you're vaguely under the Empire, but you're not, and you're trying to avoid that, and you still are trying to convince yourself, well, everything will be fine. And, kind of watching a droid be that person who's making that turnaround of like, oh, it's not going to be fine is, like, oh, even the droid gets it at this point. That was all of it to me was just done so well. And it also makes me feel like in many ways, like, man, Star Wars really works really, really, really friggin' well in animation because there was stuff done in this that I'm like, you couldn't afford to do this live action. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like just even some of the settings, the action, all of it. I'm like, this would look fake as hell, but with the way they did the animation, it was gorgeous.
Yes.
So yeah, bloody brilliant, man. It was top notch. How about you?
Yeah, it's been interesting. Like I have played around the edges of some of the animated series. Like I'm still trying to get through Rebels. I don't know why it's taking me so long to get through Rebels. It's just like, but there's something where I'm just not.
A lot of shows too.
It's not like must-see viewing for me. Whereas like I'm on the second rewatch or third rewatch now of like Silicon Valley, and like I look forward to watching that at lunch or on the train, and I'm like, and I think to myself, why am I not like this about Star Wars stuff? I'm a much bigger Star Wars fan for that franchise than I am for this, 5-6 season show that, is no more. Um, and so, my expectations were not high going into this, but I was really impressed with it. I really enjoyed, I'm not a big artsy sort of person, but, I noticed several times where it almost went, like it goes from this very, realistic, lifelike animation to almost a very apparent, like it literally looks like you're looking at a painting. You know what I mean? Like it's like there's one episode, I forget which one it is, where it starts out with the clouds, and the clouds look like they were painted. Like they don't look like real clouds because of the way they did that. And then it kind of, zooms into the city and it starts to look more lifelike. There's a point where Maul is fighting, and I think it was in episode 9 or 10, and it almost looks like they had him flash into more of a, like it looks like almost like the concept art that must have been done. It wasn't that it was messy. It just wasn't super sharp like the lifelike animation when there wasn't chaos going on. But I think that was the point, was by doing that, it kind of conveys the chaos of the moment, and that sort of thing. So though, sorry, you were trying to say something.
Well, no, I was going to say what caught me I barely finished this up in time for us to talk about this because I just got behind on a lot of stuff, including work and life. So I was watching episodes 9 and 10 today over lunch, and it finally clicked to me when they were showing, like, the city in Janix, and I'm like, nothing is moving in the deep background. I'm like, it's a matte. They're doing it as a matte painting instead of like normally when you see CGI or even animation, like they're trying to impress you with how deep the detail is. And here it's like, no, we don't want your focus on like, ooh, look at that thing way in the background. It's like, nope. It's like how they used to do it in movies. There's a matte painting and it's there to be there. And it doesn't need to move. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. Like, it's almost like all of this is a matte painting, and what's moving, it has to be moving to show that it's not just a still image.
Yeah.
But back there is not that important. And that just, I was like, I don't know if that's an obvious choice. I'm guessing it is, but what a choice it is, because it takes you back to watching those older Star Wars movies where that's how you would make something look big and grandiose. You'd set it up against a matte painting, and then everything in the foreground is where the action's happening. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And to me, like that, the way that in the action sequences where it would get to this hyper realistic sort of kinetic energy to it, that I'm like, to me, I mean, not to dive too far in here, but I mean, like the speeder bike or the chase in like episode 8, like the car chase, one of the best action sequences in any Star Wars movie or TV show, live action or animation. That was gorgeous. It was amazing to watch. And just and like,
was that the car chase where Devin gets the big car and they all
yes,
kind of pile into it? Okay. Yeah.
I was watching that. I'm like took my breath away. I couldn't believe how amazing that was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's absolutely insane how good that was. And then that's before you even get to episode 10 with every lightsaber scene in this show was unbelievable. And then just when you think like, okay, yeah, it's all been really cool. And then you start getting to like episodes 8, 9, and 10. You're like, I can't believe I'm actually watching this. I never like drool just coming down, like geek drool of just like, this is like just, I don't have the vocabulary to describe it. It's beautiful.
It was. So yeah, very impressed by the visuals and the visual art of the show. Very lifelike animation. Like you said, the lightsabers were well done. The lightsaber duels were all, very well done. Didn't feel like anything was off there. And then, it was interesting how they just kind of thrust you into the characters on this, planet Janix, and and really, unapologetically doesn't go into a lot of depth trying to explain like where we're coming in here. Now, I just looked this up. I didn't have this in my head when I was watching it. But some key backstory elements leading into this show, which I knew of some, didn't know of all, but so there's 5 points that I have here. The rise and fall of the Shadow Collective. So prior to this, after Maul survived getting cut in half in the Phantom Menace, had been restored and ended up building this massive criminal alliance comprising of the Death Watch, the Pike Syndicate, Black Sun, and the Hutt Clan. Now, of course, part of this was him getting vengeance on some of those who had betrayed him. From there, he also takes control of Mandalore. He kills Pre Vizsla and claims the Darksaber. And then he used this power to lure and kill Duchess Satine Kryze, who is Bo-Katan's sister, I believe. Breaking. And I think Satine was also a love interest for Obi-Wan.
Yes.
So that broke his heart. And then he was betrayed by Sidious, who viewed him as a threat and ends up intervening. He kills Savage Opress, who is Maul's brother, captures Maul, uses him as bait for Mother Talzin, who I think is, I don't know if that's Maul's mother or she's one of the Night Sisters, and he lures her in. I know there was something around that from like Clone Wars. And then there's the escape and siege of Mandalore. So during the chaos of Order 66, Maul escapes imprisonment. He was defeated by Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars series finale, causing his forces to fracture. And then following the rise of the Empire, a wounded and scattered Maul seeks to rebuild his empire from the shadows, leading to the events of Shadow Lord. So he's not in charge of Crimson Dawn. If anything, we're kind of fed into at the end of this how that becomes or comes to be. But Maul has been pretty active, and
he's been a busy little bugger.
He has. And so coming into this into the series, you don't have a lot of that context because I think, again, unapologetically, they just presume either it or they give you enough nuggets along the way to kind of figure it out.
Yes.
Which is a sign of good writing. So coming into it, he is on the warpath, basically, as he says, to get vengeance on those who betrayed him. And so he starts down this path of, really he is the match that lights the tinder, that is the fire that burns, for these 10 chapters. And really, and we can get into this a little bit, but really all around, like the way all the characters are brought in, from not just Maul, but Master Iko Diodaki and Devon. There is Brander and his son, what's his name? Riley Lawson. There's Two Boots. I love how there's always a droid with some goofy name. Two Boots. Because he wears two boots. Just how it is. And then you got Ludi Vario, who I got to tell you that character was hysterical to see him come in like a full size, like you think he's like this full size normal adult sort of creature, and then you end up finding out like his body is basically a mech, and he's just like in there just controlling it, and he's this like tiny
guppy
dude
inside a mannequin. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But the characters were all really well done. They had their own nuances, and Maul's crew was not, like there wasn't a lot of depth going into that crew a whole lot, but it didn't need to be. It was just they went in deep where they needed to, and they gave you a taste of who some of these characters were and what drove them to the degree that you needed to know. And so we have the two other, what's Maul's race? I forget. Zabrak. There's two other Zabraks. I think they were brothers. One who's like the Jesse Ventura of that group from Predator, who has the helicopter gun that fires lasers at a ridiculous rate, and then you have the other brother who kind of wears the mask and is like the ninja of them. But they you don't have to get to know them too deeply because they're just Maul's crew, and they're there to serve Maul, and they're trying to a lot of this story is him trying to get off the planet, as after he exacts his vengeance, so he can continue to kind of walk his list of who he wants to take down. And so I feel like the way they introduce you and all that was really smooth. I didn't have to have a lot of knowledge of these characters. The gaps were filled in organically. It wasn't, I never felt wanting for more information about certain people. It's like you just got enough to know who this character is and why they're, part of all of this, and you were good with it.
Yeah, I mean, the two guys who are of his race seem like they are just loyal.
Yeah,
they are loyal to Maul because that's who they see as their leader.
Yep.
Then you've got the head Mandalorian who wants to be like a pseudo apprentice to Maul. And then you have the other Mandalorians who you realize are not quite as, their loyalty is bought at a price. So there could be some dissension, there could be some backstabbery. But then you also have this weird dynamic between Maul and what was it? Rost?
Rook Cost.
Rook, that's right. Where you can tell she definitely is taking a little bit of offense at Maul's pursuit of Devin as an apprentice.
Yes.
And is not too cool with that, because I think it would almost become like in Good Will Hunting with not Sean, Stellan Skarsgård's character, and then his little lackey.
Oh, right, yeah.
Takes exception when Will becomes his favorite, and he's way in the background.
Mm-hmm.
It's that same sort of vibe where the left hand, the right hand man is going to be a little upset when they become the left hand man because there's a new right hand.
Yep.
So I mean, but you don't need a ton of backstory or exposition for that. Like what I just gave was probably twice as much as what you got in the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
They give you all of that and they show it really well.
Yeah.
No, his crew was there and they serve their purpose. And even by the time you get to, by the way, there will be spoilers all over this thing. I mean,
yes,
I would think that people would know that. But if
you don't want the show spoiled, stop listening now, because we're going to start letting it all fly. So
by the time you get to episode 10 and some of these people start buying it, which I mean, by the time we got to episode 10, I was like, are we just going to Rogue One this whole thing? Like everybody going to die. Everyone, because we don't hear from anyone here except for Maul. Like he's the only one that we know got to make it out because he shows up in a little cameo like me in Solo.
Yep.
He's the only one that has to make it out of here. Otherwise, no one else here we've ever heard of.
Yes.
So makes so when people start buying it, like even the spy bot, the little flying saucer spy bot, when he gets killed, it's like there's a weight to it. Like it doesn't have to make you sad for days on end, but it hits you. You're like, oh my gosh, they killed off that person. They killed off that guy. They killed off the little buzzy flying saucer thing. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
They gave you just enough where you actually cared about him, and you didn't realize you cared about him until all of a sudden, like one of his buddies there decides he's already shot and probably dying, and he dives and takes out 3 stormtroopers and they all fall into the acid. It's like, wow, okay, I did kind of care about that dude. No, they did such a great job with this.
They did.
And even, even Two Boots felt like there was had a good story arc in this. For crying out loud, the droid had a good arc.
Well, and like as an example, like there's a character, Rena Sewell, who is kind of like a proprietor who runs like a casino kind of nightclub sort of thing, and we have the detective Brander Lawson. I think he was a detective. Brander Lawson, visits her a couple times, and then she becomes important to them in their desire to get off the planet. And but even there, like they hinted, for Brander, we don't get the whole story, but we know he and his wife split up. His wife seemed very much a part of the Empire is a good thing. He was not feeling that way. And you kind of get the sense that he and that Rena lady had a bit of a history there, and maybe a little bit of a relationship sort of thing, because there was they did these little hints of like tenderness between the two of them. Like at one point the son was there and he's like, oh, what's this going on? What's going on there?
there's enough ambiguity. Like I could make a case for either side of that.
But that's my point. Is that's the brilliance
great.
of the writing. They didn't have to go there. It was implied, and you're like, okay, there might be something there, but you can kind of understand a little bit about their relationship just through that little interaction.
Well, and not understand about their relationship. Like it gives you fodder to build your own headcanon about. Well, I think that they actually, and that's kind of the fun of this, Yeah, no, it was great characters. Like, I mean, of course, you get down to like the C and the D characters, and like, obviously, I think Riley, even though he kind of ended up becoming more important, he definitely felt like he was a C character that got a field promotion to like a B- character by the time the thing ended, because he kind of had to. But the mom, like, that's a D-list character, like made one appearance, but just the fact that they made her an Imperial officer really adds a lot to, okay, well, what's really Lawson's problem with the Empire? Is it because he's really a true believer in, like, I just don't like the Empire? Or is it because, my ex works, I just don't like him? It's almost like, well, I'll never go to that restaurant again because my ex, works there, or whatever. It's like, but you really like the milkshakes there. They were never any good.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, they weren't, that sort of thing. But it's a great job with the characters. Especially Maul added so many different layers to a character that could have just been rage all the time.
Yeah. And I'll get to him in a moment. I want to talk about the casting real quick. So we have Sam Witwer. That is the man, the master,
Crashdown.
The master of the graphs, baby. The master of the graphs. Graph 1, Graph 2, Graph 3.
Have you looked at his IMDb?
No.
You want to talk about a busy bugger, dude. Like, that dude works and works and works and works. I had to go scroll for a long ass time before I found BSG, because I was expecting, like, oh, sure, that'll be in his known for. Oh, no. No. Sam is known for way more than BSG. I was like, all right, pardon the hell out of me, sir.
Well, on this show, he is known as the master of the graphs. So,
he should
but he of course voiced Darth Maul. And then we have Dennis Haysbert as Master Iko Diodaki, who great casting there. Like, I thought, and I saw an article 2 days ago where, gosh, I wish I had saved the link. But he was quoted as saying that he always knew if he ever landed in a Star Wars property that he would be a Jedi Master, because he's like, I just got the voice. He's like, I just got the voice. And
yes.
And
yes,
he was right on the money. Let's see. Gideon Adlon as Devon Izara. She is the daughter of Pamela Adlon, who is a comedian and has been in a lot of comedy-based shows. I got to pull her IMDb up. But actually, her mom Pamela did the voice of Rena Sewell, who I just talked about, who was that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. Trying to think who else. Let's see. The only other I mean, I can go through some of the other names, but I'm going to go with the names I think that are more kind of well known. Chris Diamantopoulos, who was Luti Vario, so the little guy who's the gangster. This guy was absolutely hysterical in Silicon Valley. He plays basically this. It's almost like he's a Mark Cuban like sort of character, like made all of his millions during the .com boom, and was and plays this like investor for the main character and his friends and everything, and is just the most obnoxious. I'm trying to think. What just very inappropriate in the things that he says, and he's like stuck in the 90s, you know what I mean? Like, just he's one of those guys. He is absolutely hysterical. And it was funny because I hadn't looked at the cast list, but I'm listening to Vario's voice. I'm like, there's something. And again, I'm watching Silicon Valley right now, and I'm like, there's something, like, I'm hearing something similar there. And I'm like, that's it. That's why. So, so good to see him on this. Vanessa Marshall, who is Rook Koss. I was looking at her while you were talking. I was looking at her, her slate of stuff she's been in. She was doing Rook's voice in Clone Wars. Believe it or not. Yeah, so she's been a part of that character for quite some time. I don't think there's anyone else in this list that is. Oh, Clancy Brown as Savage Opress, and then Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't know if it was just like recorded dialogue that they were playing back, but
I think that was like flashback sort of material because I don't remember any. The guy who voiced Two Boots, I've seen him.
Richard Ayoade.
He was in what, the IT crowd, the IT crowd, or which I think that was a fairly decent hit in the UK. And I've seen him. I think I've seen him in a couple of other things, like not actually watched, but I've seen like him referenced or in commercials or whatever.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think he has a bit of a recognition type deal.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of voice people in this, which I mean, great, because honestly, like so many voice acting gigs and so many voice over gigs are being taken over by big names now because it's easy money. So kind of pure voice actors are fewer and farther in between.
Yes.
So good to see a lot of these folks, continuing to get work and to continue on, like Rook being, a carryover. That's great.
I love to see that continuity,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
All right. So getting into like the overall slate of episodes here, we start off in chapter 1, The Dark Revenge. And I got to tell you right off the bat, when I've watched chapter 1 and chapter 2, I'm just kind of like, I'm sorry, is this Darth Maul or is this Grand Admiral Thrawn? Because I kind of felt it was almost like Maul was kind of riffing on the Thrawn character a little bit, walking around with his hands behind his back, calm as calm can be, 5 steps ahead of everyone, plotting things. This guy is going to do this to this guy, and I'm counting on him to kill him and to take him out. I don't need to do anything. I'm just here. If things go to hell, I'm coming in with my lightsabers and taking care of business. What did you think of that? Because I'm like, that was the first thing that stood out to me. Not that it was a bad thing, but I'm like, damn, he's like Thrawn right now. It's kind of crazy.
Well, again, because in a universe, in a galaxy far, far away, where we've only seen like incompetent boobs, on the bad guy side of things, it's, you just have to be fairly competent to stand out. And if you're actually really good at your job, then, oh my gosh, you're the greatest ever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but it makes sense. Like if this guy is a guy who built those alliances, who is running this thing and has this reputation, I mean, you got to have it for some reason, like it comes from somewhere. You just can't manufacture that 100%. So it made a lot of sense. And to me, it pairs really well with then when he completely goes feral.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can tell, like, they're like, even when he was dealing with Devin,
mm-hmm.
and he's trying to kind of turn Devin, and he's very calm, and then it snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it's intentional letting that out of, but it's like, oh, it's not that he doesn't have rage. He just has it under control, but he can turn the faucet on at a second.
Yeah.
And then as the episodes go on and you kind of see him more in a wounded animal sort of mode, you're like,
mm-hmm.
oh, okay, like this is how this dude survives. Because if he just was engaging in his rage 100%, like he would already be dead. Because like literally when he's fighting the Inquisitors, when he's fighting Vader, there is a certain degree of the way he charges into things where he does not give a rip
mm-hmm.
if he doesn't make it. Like, and that's probably the reason why he has made it, because he's willing to get his head chopped off.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way he fights. So it made perfect sense to me. And it did. Again, it did, like those little things just kind of set the character up, like, oh, this is what we're in for. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, 100%. And I love in Andor we had Ferrix, and here in Maul we have Janix. So much like the late 90s for WWE was tag teams that have a Z at the end of their name.
I was
right
just
now,
thinking that.
Star Wars is in this phase of we're going to have cities that have X at the end of their name.
Yep. And the thing is, it just sounds like Alien. It does.
It does
effortlessly. Yes.
But love how with Devin and her master, how she is is it impetuous? Yeah, impetuous young Padawan. They're hungry. She wants to just steal some food, and her master is trying to teach her patience and how things will kind of fall into place for them. And that whole thing triggers all of this. Like her just and I love that storytelling because it's very true, because it goes back to that that moral of we sometimes underestimate the price of our choices. Like just her stealing food to just feed herself for one night led her down this path, and now she will become, we think, the mentee of one of the Dark Lords. I mean, Maul was never a Dark Lord of the Sith, but he was taught at the foot of Sidious, and now she's going to be taught by him. It's very interesting, like that path, and how characters are, kind of positioned that way in some of these stories, where something that feels like a trivial decision ends up having massive consequences. And so so we start to see the beginning here of all of this. And I don't I watched this last week, but I'm already forgetting some of the details behind it. I know she gets captured. I believe
she gets arrested.
She gets arrested, and I forget it. I think she crosses Maul because the cops are also in pursuit of him, I believe.
Well, so what happens is, first, I mean, I love the idea that we kind of start out with the heist.
Yes. Yep.
With Maul's crew heisting, and it's a great heist, but they don't quite get it done, and then Maul has to come in and back clean up, but they get away. And then you have Lawson showing up as the tired, like it turns into almost like CSI, where you just have the tired and guy who you can tell he's got like he's part John McClane, part
the dude
Barney
never
Miller.
Sleeps, and probably has like a heart condition because he's drinking so much calf, as he calls it. Give me another calf.
And it's like,
where's my smokes?
Just this world weariness of like, oh god, another friggin' heist. Like, but he cares too much, and immediately you're like, okay, I get this archetype.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful part of it, is like, you don't have to learn this. He just shows up and you're like, oh, he's this guy who's been on every detective show forever. Like, okay, I get it. And then we get into like, then of course Devin gets taken in, and then of course she crosses paths with Lawson. And, then she gets thrown into the cells. And then when Maul goes to bust out Vario.
Oh, that's what it is. Right. Okay. He was going to get Vario.
He's like,
yeah,
I want her too. And then they all piss off to his hideout and stuff. And
I do like how Lawson has that, and maybe I'm going to name this wrong. I feel like it's somewhat of a Hispanic accent, but he's just got this suaveness about him when he talks. He's got a very, very suave sort of way of talking, and it's a character where at first I didn't know what to think of him, and then later as you get through all 10 chapters, I'm like, you find yourself really rooting for this guy, and you get invested in him, and he's just he's a smooth operator.
Well, I mean, you think about it, like in the Star Wars universe up until Rogue One, it was either Brits or Americans.
Yep.
And all the bad guys were Brits, and the rebels were the American, or English, non-UK accented folks. And Rogue One is kind of the first time that we see some other accents represented, even though it's all in English. But I mean, you have oh gosh, the guy who plays Chirrut.
From Rogue One.
And he has a very thick accent, and he commented like in the making of where he was very shocked that they would have someone with an accent like his. And then we have I forget who plays the blind guy. I know is Donnie Yen. And it's not like he doesn't have an accent. Like you start getting other flavors of voices.
Yeah.
So in this, and then of course we have Oscar we have who plays Andor? Is Oscar Isaacson?
Oh, Andor? No, that is
Oh no, that's Poe. Crap, who's
I'm looking it up.
Andor? Diego Luna.
Diego Luna. There we go.
Which I mean, oh my gosh, another dude where I'm like, son of a bitch, how did you get the name lottery? Like that is one of the coolest, like top 5 names I've ever heard in my fracking life, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And you start hearing all these different accents. So it was weird when I heard that. It was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's not. I have to stop and appreciate the fact that okay, this is a different voice that we're getting here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no, it was great. And it, oh yeah, dude, that was so suave. But then you're like, is he suave or is he just tired? Because he's always kind of talking kind of slow. Like, no, he's friggin' just shredded, dude. He's just needs a week of sleep. And then
in some ways, he's kind of like Adam Pearce, you know,
a little bit. Not
there's
quite
just this weariness in his voice at all times.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh God. And I absolutely love, I forget if it was in chapter 3 or chapter 4, but when he comes back to his apartment and and Devin and her master are there. And you just see him just
chief had just said like, oh, well, at least you're not harboring Jedi. And I'm like, oh, I know exactly what's going to friggin' happen now.
Yeah.
And then they're there and he doesn't even really say that much. Doesn't even raise his voice. Just like, shit.
Like all he does is just put his head in his hands. Like, oh my God.
Great.
What have you done?
And that's the other thing. Like there are moments of humor in this, but they're not obvious. Like waka waka jokes. Like there's when Devin does like the power slide into like the stormtroopers, and then opens the doors like, you boys need a ride.
Yep.
Like, oh my gosh,
yep.
You're a friggin' kid. You haven't earned that, but okay, fine, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Oh,
and I love how through like the first half before the Empire shows up, like that is like the big thing for Lawson. It's like like we need to prevent the Empire from coming because when they come, we're not going to like it. And he's not wrong. Like you see what the Empire does when they show up. Like it starts off as, you know, some light oppression, and then they just like it's like a vice. It's like you just see them crank the vice, more pressure, because they're not getting their guy. They're not finding, you know, they're not landing their prize, and so they keep taking rights away. They keep, you know, locking things down, and it was like that part I thought was also very well done, was the way they show how the Empire was quite, you know, as talented as Maul is, and as much as you had a Jedi Master and his Padawan there, you still saw the Empire turn the screws and really lock a city down, like pretty severely, like, and to a point where, you know, like it was not easy for them. By the time they leave the planet, Maul has lost pretty much everything.
Yes.
Right. His entire crew is gone. He's got
most of his crew is gone. I think didn't 1 or 2 of them escape?
No, the 2 Zabrak brothers were killed.
But I thought Rook didn't make it.
Rook didn't make it. She got taken out by Vader. The other Mandalorians, 3 of them tried to. That was a high piece of comedy right there. The 3 that abandoned took the ship, and it's like, we're out of here.
Yeah.
Ah, crap. They got blown up before they even got away.
Wah, wah, wah. Serves you right.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's
so
right.
yeah, it was Maul, it was Vario, it was Devin, and I think it was Riley and 2 Boots. I think we're on Dryden Voss's ship. And
yeah, you're right.
And so it was but man, like that's the part I thought they did so well. This was not a Maul was going to rise up and somehow get out of this and fly away and live to fight. I mean, he lived to fight another day, but not him and his crew. Like everything had to be taken, and yet at the same time he had Devin with him, and he had Devin who was open to what he wanted to then teach her. You know, she was open to pick up what he was putting down. You know what I mean?
Well, but then that also just goes to show just how shrewd and ruthless Maul is, because he made that choice. He made the choice to abandon Daki. He made the choice
Yes.
to essentially put all his eggs into the Devon basket. And
I don't want to.
really. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, I don't want to guess that he and Daki, I don't want to go so far to say that he and Daki certainly would have beaten Vader, but they were starting to make progress against him. Maul was able to nail his arm or nail his shoulder. Daki was getting some shots in. Now they were still struggling, but the two of them versus him were holding. And Maul, to your point, with Maul's ruthlessness, the decision making he made to say, I'm going to throw in with her. He's a lost cause. That's when Daki loses it, because he can't go one-on-one with Vader.
True. And it is that whole, like, but it is that interesting complexity that they have with Maul, because it's that deal where he's not really ever lying to Devon.
Yeah.
About who he is or what he's after or anything. Like, he kind of is telling her the truth the whole time.
Yeah.
It's one of those deals where it's almost like Captain Jack Sparrow. Like, he can just tell when he's telling them the whole plan, he's like, I don't think he's lying. I don't think he really means to take the ship and this and that and the other. Like, it's very open that he is your friend right up until the moment that he is not. Because even he is, telling, Rook, like, have some respect. He is a Jedi master. Because in that moment, like, he has respect for Daki. And then, of course, he adds, until we don't need him anymore. But up until that exact moment, you will treat him with the respect that he is due. And when I sell him out, then game over. Like, he's dead to me, and more than likely dead. But it's like, it is this weird sort of code of honor that Maul has. And I don't know how you would characterize it as chaotic, neutral, or whatever. But I mean, there is this weird bent code of honor to him that makes him a very interesting character.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the fact that he's not just trying to, I think, he wants to teach Devon. There are elements that are certainly from the dark side about tapping into your rage and unleashing your rage and your anger and all of that. But there's also an element to, and again, this is the nuanced nature of the Force, because, growing up as kids, it was always, light side of the Force is, good, and dark side of the Force is bad. And yet, the answer, of course, is somewhere in the middle, that there are truths to elements of what Maul says that, I forget if it was in chapter 9 or 10, but when he and Daki are kind of debating the merits of what they should be doing next, and Maul's got some good, Daki's got good points about, being more sort of defensive and pacifist about it, but Maul is not wrong in, making moves. It's kind of that Sid Justice sort of, do unto the man as you'd have done to you, but do it first.
Never heard that before, but I like it.
But, well, I got to send you the Sid, like Sid Justice does it way better than what I just said, because it's not just like saying it. It's like Sid Justice in full on rage mode, like, do unto others. And like, you just see like he's about to blow up out of his like own skin, sort of thing. But that's what Maul was kind of putting down, was in that moment, they needed to be aggressive because of what they were facing. And so, I thought it did a nice job of kind of showing how both sides aren't wrong, and there are elements of correctness in both, that there's some kind of a blend, again, not that they were going to beat Vader. This was Vader at his prime. And I liked how, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping all the way to 10, but that's what I am most, had seen most recently. But I was watching on, there was a reel on Instagram with Sam Witwer, and he was talking about that final battle between Maul and Vader. And he talks about the fact that, Vader knows what's going to happen before it happens. And he's like, that's why you see in that fight the fact that he's just kind of moving his light, because he's like, I like he's seeing 3 steps ahead what's happening through the Force, and he knows what's going to happen. And he's like, this guy, and I love that he put it this way. It's like Vader has probably studied going into Vader studied Maul. Like he's like, look at the first thing Vader does to Maul. What does he do? Whack right on the leg. Like Maul is all about agility and speed and going in and hitting quickly and you know, all of that. Vader knows this. Like he has studied Maul. Maul has no idea who Vader is, but Vader knows Maul and knows how to, in a lot of ways, he was kind of toying with Maul. And as that fight went on, I found myself thinking back to Empire with Luke, because as Luke was fighting Vader more and more, you see his uniform is singed. You see the spots where he's getting pummeled and it's torn and ripped. And you look at Maul, and Maul is like tattered and beaten and just, you know, he just looks like he's just done.
It's literally like a matador with a bull.
Yeah.
Just basically like poking and poking and poking and trying to bleed it. And almost, actually more like a cat and a mouse, almost toying with his food in a way.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, no. Watching Vader in those was crazy, because it's literally, it goes back to, like, you know, in the first Matrix movie when Neo and Morpheus are fighting for the first time.
Yeah.
And Neo is going all out, just trying to hit Morpheus, and Morpheus at one point just turns and is very casually just one hand.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was Darth Vader, just like with a Jedi Master and Darth Maul, just not, his body isn't barely moving.
Yeah.
Like it's just one arm and then occasionally like force choke.
Right.
It's like effortless in many ways, you know, until he started getting singed. And then you see the rage come out when he's going after Daki, and it's like just the power behind it, you know. And then because I forget,
and that kind of goes to the Filoni interview that I saw, again, another Instagram reel, where he goes on this great diatribe about how Vader is a destroyer, and how he's like, when we make content with Vader, I don't want to, you know, Vader is George's creation, and he's like, I don't want to betray what is essentially the backbone of this creation. Like, he is a destroyer. He fights the way he fights because, and he goes into this whole long thing about, because he hates what, like literally he's forgotten Anakin, and he wants to forget all of the things that have made that point back to the poor decisions that he made. And he's like, when he sees a Jedi, he wants to destroy it because it reminds him of the friends that he betrayed. And he doesn't want to, you know, have that accountability. So he destroys it. And so it was a really interesting explanation of Vader's drive and his motivation, you know, and it plays into everything that they've done with him thus far. Like in the Kenobi series, he wants to destroy Kenobi.
Yeah.
He doesn't care that Kenobi feels sorrow and feels, and apologizes. I think there's a part of, I do think they did a nuance in that show where there was a part of Vader, especially when he lost his mask, that, and again, it was that whole scene where you see like Obi-Wan's blue saber kind of highlighting his face, and then you see the red saber highlighting his face, and he goes into how he destroyed Anakin, and now I'm going to destroy you. Because that's what he is. He does not want to remember anything that reminds him of Anakin, because Anakin is good, and Anakin and there's sorrow and there's accountability that has to be had. And then that all changes when he faces his son, because his son is able to bring, slowly, as he describes it, his son is able to bring that out of him, which is something no one else could do. And so the way that, and I'm sorry I jumped all the way to that, because that is, of course, the apex of all this. But
well, yeah, but it makes perfect sense why you would.
But it goes back to the whole point of how this showed how the Empire puts a planet or a city in a chokehold. They send Merrick. Merrick can't get the job done. They send the 11th brother with Merrick. They're trying. They almost got him. They still can't get the job done. Okay, now we're going to send in the Obafemi of the Empire. Here comes Vader.
Bring in the closer. Time to bring in oh my gosh. Who's the closer for the Yankees?
Mariano Rivera.
Bring
him in.
I was going to go with Papelbon or Folk or anything like that.
That's not Rock. That's not Rock doing this. That's calling for the relief, baby. Bring in the closer.
Yeah.
But seriously, actually, that would have been great if in that scene where Vader comes through the clouds or comes through the fog, and he's just kind of like, ooh, do the Obafemi, baby.
I'm sure if you burn like 5 gallons worth of water and 9 megawatts worth of energy, you can make that in with AI.
Well, you could. I mean, it's all animation anyway. So, but nonetheless, but to my point is like you see how vicious the Empire is through these 10 chapters, and the way that they just have a stranglehold when they focus their resources. No matter how many stormtroopers they lose, no matter how many ships go down, there's a relentlessness, and that was something that stood out to me too. From when did the Empire land on the planet? Was it chapter 4 or chapter 5? Must have been chapter 5.
I think it was 5.
It's
not. It's about halfway through.
Yeah, but did you feel it? Because it wasn't just like watching it. It's just you feel it. You feel it from the characters. There's a relentlessness about the Empire. They keep getting away, and yet at the same time, the Empire doesn't give them a whole lot of space to breathe. They're closing in on them constantly.
Well, because I mean, there's very few faces to the Empire.
Yeah.
You get like the one commanding officer that you actually saw his face. Everyone else is a stormtrooper or someone in a mask. And there's just an endless supply of people in masks that they'll continue to bring in and more vehicles and more this and just the symbolism. Like, again, going back to Rogue One was the first time, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am in this, Rogue One is the first time we saw a Star Destroyer in atmosphere, just hanging over a city.
Yes.
And we see it again here in Janix.
Mm-hmm.
And just the absolute soul-crushing view that must be of we are in charge is we have this extraordinarily large, ship that is just hanging over your city with enough firepower that we could probably level this city in under an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And just reduce it to ash and a few bits of rubble. Like, that symbolism is between that and just the unlimited resources if they decide to leverage it against you, and it's that is the thing that makes it feel like, okay, you just cannot defeat them.
Yeah.
But we've seen this time and time again throughout history. Like, a small dedicated force finding weaknesses can overpower, because the disadvantage of something like that is you can't pivot very quickly.
No,
you can't. They cannot make adjustments very quickly.
And the other part is you can't be everywhere at once. Now I talked about how relentless they were, and there was, I think if anything, the downfall of Maul and Lawson and the characters was the fact that there were only so many of them and they had no support.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they were in a lot of ways like the rebels, where they were always finding that next, it's kind of like that speech from Rogue One. We keep going and we keep taking chances and we keep going until we run out of those chances, and that's what they were doing. They kept to the point where, I love chapter 9, strange allies. They had to come together. Maul and his crew, and Lawson and his crew had to come together to try to make some inroads toward getting off the planet, because it was just, damn near impossible. So
in a situation that is like an inconceivable idea, like a Jedi master is going to team up with, not a Dark Lord of the Sith, but someone who was a Sith.
Yep.
Who's definitely on the darker end of the Force spectrum.
Yeah.
There's a little known story, and it's someone
little known codicil in the favor.
Well, Did you know that in World War II there was actually a battle where Germans and Allied forces fought on the same side?
I did not.
There was I forget, it's a castle somewhere. I'd have to look it up. But there was a castle somewhere where essentially there was prisoners, and I believe they're German prisoners, and Allies wanted the position, and then there was an SS unit that was trying to take back the position, and essentially the German prisoners fought on the same side as the Allies against the SS.
Interesting.
Which is kind of mind-blowing. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, and someone had optioned it for a movie and was supposedly working on it, but I'm like, how has this not already been a movie? Like 5 times over. Like that is like, it seems like it just writes itself. But in a way, like it's a similar thing, like the inconceivable pairing of, okay, well, we're now finding someone who's even worse than either of us thought either of us was. And now we have to deal with it. And then we can figure this out, you know? And of course, the other part of this show that I appreciated, there was no attempt to make this a kid's show, even though it's animated.
No.
There was zero attempt.
Yep.
And as the show went on, it just went harder and harder and harder, to the point in episode 10, we are getting stormtroopers sliced in half. I mean, it's brief. It is, but I mean, you know it's happening.
Yep.
Docky is pierced with a friggin' Vader like shish kebabs him to take him out. Like, this is nuts for Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how like just hard they went. And even the point when Maul is fighting against the 2 Inquisitors and manages to get away, and then he's falling towards rocks and lights his lightsaber and starts spinning in air like a friggin' maniacal laser-tipped drill, and it's like, I'm like, oh my sweet dear God, what am I watching?
Yep.
I don't know what it is, but it's awesome. It's like everything I always like. This is the type of thing that you come up with when you're like 8 and you're playing with your Star Wars action figures. You're like, this would never happen in real life. And it's like, it's all happening in this show. Like, and then you realize like, oh wait, Dave Filoni was that kid playing with his action figures.
Yep.
God bless him.
Yep.
Oh
100%.
my God. So amazing just how like it was like there's no shackles whatsoever. It was just like, yeah, we will go absolutely as far as possible.
Yep.
Insane.
Yep.
So good.
The journey Devin goes on through these 10 chapters where she's imprisoned by Maul. Maul tries to reason with her. She is bound by her dogma, that has been that has been her training and probably been her life.
Well, and the love for her master too. Like, you can tell there's a genuine bond there,
Yep. Which is funny because her master, right, in chapter, like you say that, but yet in chapter 1, he's instructing her, like any parent who cares for their child, don't do that. Don't do that. And then they do it.
Yes,
they go right against it, and they cause a bunch of chaos and problems. And then it's like when they're finally face to face with something that they know is wrong, then they're like, I want to go back to this guy. It's just like, good God Almighty. But again, Maul is very measured here. You brought up the scene that happens later on in 8 or 9, where he chastises Rook for being like, we should take out the Jedi Master or whatever, and he's like, no, you show some respect.
Yeah.
For it just shows. Like what I appreciated about that though is it does show the growth that Maul has undergone, because he probably in Phantom Menace was very much a rage beast. He was very much probably a.
Well, we don't know because he didn't have any lines and he's only on screen for about 2.5 minutes.
Well, I don't know. He fights viciously. He fights viciously, and he did have 2 lines.
He did?
Yeah, he's like, finally we reveal ourselves. Finally, we will, dispense of the Jedi or whatever.
Well, I forgot that entirely. So meaningful.
He was nominated for an Oscar for those lines. I'm surprised you don't remember that.
What, best 2 lines in a movie? So apparently
best cameo.
I think they brought. Did they bring him back, Ray Park? Did they bring him back for some motion capture or something like that?
So there is a
thought
complicated story there with Ray Park because, as I remember, I think at this stage, Disney and Star Wars do not do business with him because of, I think he had posted some stuff back during the 2010s that were, that was not good.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of said, bye-bye, which is probably why they use Maul mostly in animation now because, well, that and the fact that Ray Park is probably aged out of playing that character at this point. I mean, he's very...
I don't know. There was video of him recently of like doing some stuff where I'm like...
Okay.
And I don't know how old he is, but I mean, I was like, that's damn it. If he's any older than I am...
Impressive. Most impressive.
Let me take a look at this. Go ahead. I'm going to look up Ray Park's age.
So basically where I was going was just the journey with Maul and Devin and...
Dude's 51.
51. Okay. So
who's like a fracking cat.
Yeah.
God. Anyways.
But what I find interesting though is, and to me, like, this is one of the things, now that we're talking through this, I guess this might be one of my nits to pick because we never truly get an explanation for why Maul is so interested in her. I mean, yes, she is a Force user. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But why her? You know what I mean? Like he just immediately has this, okay.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like we don't ever really truly understand. Now, maybe it is this desire that he wants to have someone to pass his wisdom along to and to train who understands him, because let's face it, he's with Mandalorians and he's with, 2 individuals that are from his race, basically. None of them probably understand what he deals with in terms of being a Force user.
Yeah.
But a Jedi would understand that. And a Jedi, it seems like he very much wants to mold a Jedi, and he sees something in her, but we never really hear him articulate what it is he sees, or do we?
I think it's revenge. That is Maul in a nutshell.
Well, absolutely, 100% agree with you. And it goes all the way back to Rebels when he dies at the hands of Obi-Wan. What is the one thing he says to him? Is he the chosen one? Yes. He will avenge us. Like, that was his last line. He will avenge us. Because, and that goes to what you just said. You're right on the money. And that was established through the series. He is vengeance.
But he's what he's the ultimate vengeance he wants. He wants Darth Sidious.
Yes.
And he knows that he can't do it on his own, or at least he has an inclination that he can't do it on his own, or he at least knows that the odds would be better if he has someone else. Now, he knows he's not going to turn Daki. He's not foolish in thinking he's going to turn a Jedi Master.
Yeah.
But a Padawan? Mm-hmm. And a Padawan who's already gotten into trouble? I might be able to work with this one. And now if I have her, if I can teach her to be like me, now there's 2 of us.
Yeah.
Because even though he's
the 2 of us.
We can
make it if we try. Just
that's
the 2 of us.
Bill Withers version.
Sidious.
There you go. That's the Bill Withers version. That's not keep your wife's name out my mouth, Will Smith.
Just the 2 of us. We can slay Sidious. Just the 2 of us.
Dude,
whack,
I
whack,
love
whack.
it. Damn. Zip, zap, zap. But I mean, he's working his way through his list.
Yeah.
It's very much like a Kill Bill sort of thing, like where he's got his list, and not at the top of the list. At the top of the list is Darth Sidious, but he's like, I got to work my way up there. I'm not going that one first, But if I bring her along and I can take her through this list with me, then I have a chance.
Yep.
That's where I think it is. I think it's that opportunism of this is, I've gotten this far. She'll get me further. I can always find more lackeys. There's always plenty of people who are willing, if I can pay them, They'll do whatever.
And you bring up a very interesting point because, again, I'll go back to that line where he talks about having respect for the Jedi Master. And something you just said there, it's funny. He in a moment of convenience will say that, but yet you see that he has no respect for the relationship between the master and the Padawan, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is more than willing to take Devin on at the cost of the relationship, to that master.
Yes.
And that to me is both probably one of the more interesting aspects of Maul's character, and also the thing that, for me, just me and my moral code drives me nuts, because it's like, it's like a selfish respect, you respect when it's convenient for you,
yes.
but you don't fully see it through consistently,
Yeah, that's why I say he has a code of honor. It's just bent, and it's bent several times. So it's bent.
Well, his code of honor is to him.
Well, true,
to his benefit, right?
True, but he is willing to have honor for those people so long as it's convenient.
Yes,
or yes, and that's why, you look at Jedi or samurai.
Yeah,
they're noble, and we can get into there's less noble parts about a samurai as well. I mean, but that ideal of the honorable poet warrior,
yeah.
And that's not who the Sith are.
Right.
And Maul is neither now. So he's kind of like just this rogue agent. So it's whatever's convenient and however he sees the world. And because he is powerful enough and devious enough and smart enough, it works for him,
Yep. Agreed. And it's interesting that, and it's not surprising too, that as the series plays out, Devin, is very distrustful of Maul, is very much kind of following her master's lead. And then, of course, in the last chapter, when her master falls, that is the trigger for her.
Mm-hmm. And Maul knows it.
Right.
That's why he abandons her, or abandons him. That's why he abandons Daki. One, I mean, it's self-preservation, because he probably knows all it's going to take is one more hit from Vader, and one of these robot legs is just going to.
Yeah.
So it's self-preservation, but then it's also, if Daki falls, it's going to keep Vader occupied enough for me to get away, and then also, this is the thing that she needs. She needs him to be gone.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as soon as her lightsaber is gone, and she takes one of his lightsabers, and you see the red lightsaber, it's like, that's it.
Yep.
You don't even need the symbolism, but we're gonna make sure we spell this out for you. She's now on Maul's side. Yep. And then when they're on the ship flying away, you're sort of like, there's a moment where you're like, maybe she's not. And then when she's like, I'm ready, you're like, oh shit. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Heading one express ticket to the dark side, please.
Indeed. And I'm kind of curious, where that all goes, because we see Maul very briefly in Solo. So we don't know. Maybe she is a major part of Crimson Dawn with him.
Well, but we know that the previous person is taken out, right? Because then Dryden Voss is in charge of Crimson Dawn, right?
Oh,
because that's the exchange. He wants, Dryden is willing to take to get Maul off of Janix if Maul takes out whoever, Nero or something like that.
I have to go back and look, but when Dryden Voss is killed by what's her name? I can't think of her name now.
I can't either. But he's the leader of Crimson Dawn.
When she does the answers the holo call at the end of that movie, is he the head of Crimson Dawn, Maul?
Well, he might.
Or is he the head of some other group? Because she has some sort of relationship at that point with him.
It's been so long since I've watched Solo.
I'll have to go back and look at that. But yeah,
but the whole deal was that Maul is then going to kill the leader of Crimson Dawn so that Dryden Voss can take over.
Yes, absolutely, and so that obviously must happen because of the fact. Yeah, you're right. So he's in charge of that. So I'm kind of wondering, what is Maul in charge of it? Yeah, let me look that up.
Well, in some ways, he's probably gathering other forces, because that's what he's been trying to do. He's just trying to take out different people and also get other people on his side, and be able to leverage that. Excuse me.
Oh, okay. So I just looked it up, and it says Maul. So at the end of Solo, Maul is revealed as the true leader of Crimson Dawn, powerful criminal syndicate operating under the Empire. While Dryden Voss served as the public face and top lieutenant, Maul controlled the organization from the shadows, with Kira, that's the gal who, ends him, taking over as his direct lieutenant after Voss's death. The organization represents a shift from his earlier. Okay. Maul used Crimson Dawn to gain power in the criminal underworld, ultimately intending to take down the Sith and destabilize the galaxy. Okay. That makes sense. So it is Crimson Dawn that he's with, but he basically rules from the shadows, which kind of makes sense. And that's really interesting too, because at the end of this, in chapter 10, as that ship is taking off, that is Maul at his most vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Maul lives only because Dryden Voss showed up. If he doesn't show up, Maul, I don't think, comes out of this on the right side of the living. You know what I mean?
No, certainly not. But that's also very, very much Maul, in that, okay, I'll start in this position, and now I'm going to, there's some point when I'm going to have you over a barrel.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is, and that's where there is this idea of patience with Maul. Like, he does know when to be patient, because up until we get towards the end and shit starts going wrong, he is fairly patient. Even though when he pushes and they're like, you shouldn't really go and attack police headquarters. They still get away with it.
Yeah.
And he's taking risks, but they're fairly calculated risks, because he obviously thinks he has the numbers and the ability to overwhelm it. It's really towards the end when it's like he's overplaying his hand, but he's also in a position where it's like, I've got very few other options here. Like there's not much else I can do, and that's when he starts leaning into that.
And I like the way you put it, where this is also kind of a character study of him going from very much in control in chapter 1 with a very well laid out plan, and, clearly is executing it to the letter, and going from that position to, in chapter 8, the creeping fear, where he becomes, to your wording, which I think is appropriate, very feral, where he's, crawling through this windstorm to try to make some progress, which I didn't quite fully understand where that windstorm came from exactly, but he's crawling through it, but he's seeing like the memories, like we're seeing the memories of what shaped Maul, like him being torn from his family, Sidious torturing him as his training, the fact that he had to watch Sidious kill his brother. It gives you an understanding of, if Thanos in Marvel is kind of like, if you look at Thanos in Marvel as this villain who is mad, but you can kind of understand where his logic is coming from in a way. It's like Maul is like a little bit above that, where you understand this is a tortured soul whose heart is actually in the right place, because he wants to take out this very, very evil man, given, the abandonment and the pain that he sees this man has caused, but yet is very misguided in the way he goes about it.
Yes.
And to your point, like feral is a great way of putting it. I hadn't thought of it that way, but it is Maul at his lowest. And, then he's fighting 2 Inquisitors and then a Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yes.
Like think about that. He goes against two men who are basically trained to kill Jedi at the Emperor's will. And he's able to hold them off and survive that. And then from that fight, he goes right into a battle with Darth Vader, who is one of the most powerful Sith next to Darth Sidious. And he gets his ass kicked
but lives
and survives,
which is a win in like,
he's almost like the runt of the litter in a way. He's scrappy enough that he can make it out of there, but he takes his licks. You know what I mean?
What makes him dangerous, and we'll go from Crimson Dawn to Crimson Tide, the Gene Hackman Denzel Washington vehicle.
Ah, there we go.
When Gene Hackman describes the Russian dissident leader as a guy with a serious weed up his ass and a legitimate gripe, which is a very dangerous combination, which it is. Like somebody who has a legit gripe. And in this point, like you look at it and it's like, yeah, by most anyone's measure, even though Maul is a bad guy, he been done wrong. Like he been done dirty, dude. Like Sidious did him dirty, and then having the abilities that he has, and the ability not just to plan, because there's a lot of people who can plan. And who can be like, okay, this and then this and this and this, and then you fall victim to the Mike Tyson corollary of, yeah, everybody got planned till you get punched in the face, because, and I believe it's some variation of a Sun Tzu, but basically, no war plan survives first contact with the enemy. Like essentially, once you get into motion, you're going to have to make changes and adjustments. It's not going to go 100% the way you think it's going to.
Yeah.
But he can also improvise.
Mm.
In musical terms, there's folks who can play the sheet music beautifully, but if you ask them just to play something, they can't. There's other people who can improvise beautifully. They can just come up with idea. But you ask them to play like in a section with people and to play along with people, they can't do it because they aren't able to reproduce what they're doing. Maul can do both, which makes him extraordinarily dangerous. And we see this, like where he starts out planning and he's 5 steps ahead, and then he's playing from behind. But even in playing from behind, he's holding his own because he has this combination of improvisation while also trying to plan ahead. And also the ultimate card of, it doesn't seem like he cares if he dies, which is always the trump card, because it's like, if that, you're going to have a tough time beating that person if they're willing to go to that nth degree. And it makes him an extraordinarily dangerous character. And you see that where, because there is that part of me where he's in that battle with Vader, with Daki, where I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to like somehow figure out a way around this. And then he abandons Daki. I'm like, oh, son of a, I just started to believe in you.
Yeah.
And it's like, and now
there's disappointment, because you think he's going down the road of the, soul that is trying to seek atonement, and yet he makes these despicable choices.
But then you understand, like he's not only just making that choice in the moment. Like I said, I believe there is a survival element to it, like reading the room and knowing the odds and going, I'm probably not going to make it out of this if I hang around too much longer. But then there's also this, but I know that he's not going to give up. That gives me time here, and I can do this. And in real time, he's making a plan, an improvised plan, but he's still trying to think ahead. Like,
never tell me the odds.
He's iterating on the different ideas that he could have moment to moment, and it's like, holy crap, this dude is dangerous. Because he can go right from being calm to absolutely feral. And that's terrifying. It's quite terrifying. But makes for a great TV show. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Amazing.
I just love how Riley gets the award for most characters stunned. That award was Princess
Is there a switch on there where you could just be like, hey, you know what? Maybe take that off stun and put it on Cal.
I know.
We're getting our ass kicked here, kid.
Honest to God, I don't think I've ever watched a Star Wars show where there's more people who have been hit by the stun halo, like the stun halo that comes out of the gun.
I get like he's a kid and they're trying to like preserve this thing, but I'm like, you've got stormtroopers getting sliced in half. Like, let Riley take out a couple people, would you? Like,
give him a freaking headshot. Come on. Come on.
God. Like his dad's gonna wander out into the mist and get blown away. Like you're not even like the kid's just like.
Well, it's kind of what happened to his dad. I mean, he kind of oh crap, it's jammed. Ah, damn it.
Oh my gosh.
Good God.
And such a great like the way that they built tension, because it can be tough, I feel sometimes, to get that kind of attachment to animated characters, because even as well as you animate a character, it's still an animated character. Like it's not like there's just a part of your brain that is always like, this is not an actual human being. Damn, they managed to make like these characters real and meaningful and to create tension and legit gasp moments. Like in those moments leading up to Lawson sacrificing himself, I'm just like, how are they going to do this? Oh man, is this where he's doing the, oh damn it. And
I will say this about that scene when he sacrifices himself, because it's something you've seen in other shows and other properties and that sort of thing. But I gotta say, it and I don't mean emotionally this, got to me or whatever, but there was something about the way they did it in this show where it didn't feel like a trope. Like I watched that scene and I thought to myself, I could actually see myself as a dad doing this in this moment.
Well, it's not the absolute 100% hero but
it's that idea that my son is not going to make it if I don't do this sort of thing. And I'm not saying that there aren't other examples in other movies and other stories where maybe it's done just as well, but I don't know. For some reason in this show, when he did that and he made that choice, and you see him, try to use that helicopter gun or that cannon, and then, he's just taking hits and just kind of plodding forward into the mist. As a parent, you kind of, you can kind of understand the thought process there. I'm not going to sit here and say that I would be that heroic, or I'd like to think I would be, but we all like to think in the moment that we would be, and we find ourselves in a situation where like, oh, and then nerves or whatever hit.
Oh, totally.
But like, all I'm saying is it for some reason that scene was identifiable to me for some reason, as opposed to other times I've watched it and I'm like, okay, it's the trope, I get it, it's the sacrifice a parent makes for a child. Something just felt, I don't know, or like that's the thing about this series, like decisions and the things that played out felt organic. Like it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like, okay, here's the big hero moment that I've been waiting to have happen, sort of thing. Like, Lawson is just a regular guy. His son, plays on a sports team or whatever. And he's facing this choice of, I got to get my kid off this planet because this planet's screwed at this point.
Yeah.
And he makes, the ultimate choice to sacrifice himself for the betterment of the next generation. And, you'd like to think of yourself as a parent doing that sort of thing for your kid. And so I could identify with that decision and that choice and that moment of watching that. I thought that was just the way they did it. It just didn't feel overplayed. It didn't feel over dramatic.
Well, that's why I think that's what makes it more identifiable, because we all know that if we were put in that position, it's not going to be the typical Hollywood way you're going to play that out, where if this was a typical way of doing it, it would have been, he would have gotten off way more shots, and then it would have jammed. He would have taken out at least 5 or 6 bad guys instead of like 2. And then you would have seen him, take out the gun, and he fires that until it's empty. And then, it would have held on him the whole time until he's getting shot and shot and shot. And then he would, you would be able to see him as he's watching the plane fly away. So he would know his son is safe.
Yeah.
And he would die a noble death, and we would hold on him and zoom out and all this. He dies without knowing his kid actually gets off the planet.
Yeah.
He's gone before the ship takes off.
Yep.
And we don't actually see any of that. We don't see it from his perspective. We almost see it from like this weird, like, removed POV that it's not his son, it's not him, it's just objective, and you just watch him go off into the mist and meet his end.
Yeah.
So there's not like this grand nobility to it. Like, he won't be remembered except by Two Boots and his kid, and it's not going to be like this thing that's sung about on Janix for ages to come or whatever. Like, it just happens. And I think that is intrinsically, for most of us, like, we know that if that were to happen, that's the way it would happen. Like, it's not this grand gesture and we would get this moment of knowing that everything happened. You just kind of hope that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's what adds to that, to me. At least it did for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned Two Boots, and one thing I want to say about that character is I love how they use Two Boots as a proxy for the real believer that over time starts to understand the hypocrisy of the system. Where
Yes.
there is this.
Would you say it's a real believer or kind of almost like that? Like the person who's just like, well, no, it'll all work out, and
I say a proxy because Lawson's wife, right, is with the Empire, and we get a little bit of dialogue from her, when Riley calls her, like, "Oh, the Empire's there, everything will be okay, it'll be fine, don't worry, dear," and I
she's
feel
a real believer. I feel like Two Boots is like this in between, like the folks who are like, well, no, everything will be all right because it doesn't affect me directly.
Right, but he's a droid who is black and white about this stuff. Like, we must go to the Empire. This is the protocol. This is the process we must follow, and everything will get better. And as they arrive and as things start to, escalate, he's more. He continues with it. He's like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Wait a minute, Riley's here. Why is Riley here? Wait a minute, Riley's in prison. Riley's wait a minute, I know Riley. I love how it's that sort of like they use basically the technical sentient being who is using logic to process the idea of this construct that I thought was so clear, and I end up in a way betraying my partner because he goes off and calls basically calls the Empire and tells them what's going on, and they show up. And then understands why his partner was trying to avoid this situation, because he now has to deal with, and in some ways I feel like there's an untold story with Lawson's wife where she now needs to reconcile this because her husband's dead, and her son probably is, she doesn't know where he is at this stage because he went off
he's an outlaw,
or he's an outlaw, right? But my point is more around how the like you mentioned this earlier about how this in some ways is very relevant to our times, that you see the illogical nature of what's going on around you when you start to see the people close to you being affected by it.
Well, and that's the thing is that idea of, well, no, I'm just using logic. I'm doing my own research. I'm this and that. Oh no, of course. And you start to understand, like, well, there's a certain amount of privilege there. And in many ways, privilege is another word for insulation. Like, you have many layers between you and the things that are affecting other people. So therefore, well, it's not that big of a deal. Oh no, everything will be fine. Until it affects somebody close to you, or it affects you. And then it's like, well, wait a minute. Whoa. Yeah. This isn't right. Well, too late, Like welcome to the party, pal.
I thought the scene with Two Boots and the other officer, where the other officer basically had to say to Two Boots,
yeah,
the chief is dead. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. The chief got shipped over here. The chief is dead.
It's like when someone tells their kid, like, oh no, we sent the dog up to that farm up north.
Right. Actually, wait a minute, isn't the chief over here? No.
When the old yeller behind the woodshed.
Oh, God. In the immortal words of L.A. Knight, nada.
No. That ain't what happened at all.
Not at all. No. Just from a writing and story perspective, just so much was done well.
In a way, it's weird.
I mean, this team just, whether it was Filoni or whether it was the creative team behind the story and everything, they just, I'm not going to say it was a perfect series, but there was very little. Like I said, the one nit to pick to me was just the motivation behind Devin. But I mean, that is a minor nit to pick. You know what I mean? Like, I'm searching for something to say is a nit. You know what I mean?
I don't
like
really have any nits. I got to admit, I don't. I've Granted, I haven't been looking for too many because I was very satisfied. This was like this is like one of my favorite meals. Like, so there's a steakhouse down in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, that we've gone to, and every time I've gone there has been fantastic. But it's one of my favorite meals I've ever had.
Yeah.
A fillet with a garlic butter that was melted over the top of it, and these
compound butter.
It was
compound butters are great, man.
Well, the great thing was it comes out, and so your fillet, your little medallion fillet is sitting there, and then there's this butter that's on top of it, and it's like a disc.
Yeah, and it melts on top.
Well, no, they come out with a blowtorch and they melt it. So it's not like just allowing it to melt. Like, they actively melt it over it. And then you've got your sides and all that. And I mean, then a nice, glass of whiskey to go along with that. I mean, that is like heaven.
So I got to ask,
that
better
is
than
what
Green Street Meats? Better than Green Street Meats?
Oh, it's different. It's too
different.
No, this is fine dining. Green Street Meats is like an assortment of like just, that's like caveman wonderful. This is like, I feel like I should have been wearing a tuxedo, if only out of respect for the food. Hell with everyone else.
I'm sorry. We have Caveman Wonderful and we have Thurston Howell the Third.
And it's not like one is better than the other. They're both wonderful. It's just different venues, man. I'm not comparing them. It's like trying to compare like friggin', basketball to baseball. Like, how do you really compare those? Like, it's two sets of rules, different actions. Like, they can both be wonderful in their own way.
All right.
All
right.
So my big question to you is,
yes, sir,
in terms of your favorite Star Wars shows or movies, where would this fall? And would it make it easier to compare just shows to shows?
I think
you
shows.
Want to drag the movies into this?
I think shows.
All right. So if you had to name like a top three. Because, I mean, there's only been so many Star Wars shows, so I don't know if top five would be like all of them, I think, at this point.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's really difficult because if we say just shows, and I think that's the right way to measure this, because I don't know how to compare this to a movie. But I would say in my top three, I would say number one is Andor. As much as I love Mandalorian, Andor to me is about as perfect a show. I'm not saying it's not without fault, but it is a very well done show.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Mandalorian comes in number two, and then I would say this show, Maul Shadow Lord, would come in number three. And I'm not saying that because Maul is bad. I'm just saying the quality is so high. In this top three, I might be able to make an argument, for Maul to be number two and Mando to be three, because quite honestly, I feel like Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 were absolutely top notch, and season 3 was questionable. Not saying it was awful, but it just felt off the mark quality wise compared to 1 and 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you basically have A plus A.
Yes,
and then if
it's like
season,
a B. It's like a
season,
B.
Season 3 is like a B or a B minus. It's like, oh my gosh, the drop off was terrible. It's like, holy crap, it's still better than most everything else.
Right. And that's why it's hard for me to put Maul above that, because, if Andor is the A, the solid A across the board, and Mando is, 2 A's and a B, I would put Maul at number 3 as another, A minus, B plus sort of show. You know what I mean? Like, it's very good, really very little to complain about. But like I said, I mean, I could be convinced to maybe put it into the number 2 slot because Mando season 3 kind of drags the average down a little bit. I mean, honestly, if I were to grade Maul, I would say it's an A. Very little to complain about, very little I'd want to change. With Mando, I would say season 3 could have been better.
Okay.
I feel like the climax and the focus on Bo-Katan and all of that. Like, I'm not saying Bo-Katan was a bad thing to focus on, but it's like felt season 3 felt like kind of all
with Miss Sackoff, please. I don't
all
want to
over
get
the
into
place.
a fight over this.
Season 3 was all over the place.
Yep.
1 and 2 were solid. 3 was all over the place. But because you had one season that was all over the place compared to one season that was chef's kiss of Maul, I don't know. I could go number 2 with it. So I'm going to put it number 2 and number 3, but it is definitely in my top 3 of Star Wars shows.
Okay. If I were to do the same top 3, and I could extend it to 5 because I feel like I could make a case for a couple that it would be tied for 4, so I'd extend it to 5. First for me would be Mando, and that's because season 1 was so good, A+.
Sure.
Season 2, I feel still was, if it's not an A+, it's an A. I actually feel season 3 to me is still. I don't feel it's a B. It's definitely not a flat B. Maybe a B+. I actually think more of an A-. I really enjoyed season 3.
All right.
But I mean, I get it's not everybody's cup of tea. But Mando there's just so many great moments, and I find so many of the things that I like about in other shows contained in that show.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be 1. 2 would be Maul, and then 3 would be Andor. But that's and it's not only because I feel what I mean. I love how you're sitting there like, did your screen freeze?
I did that on purpose because I wanted to see if you're going to be like, are you still there?
Because, I mean, I
Ground
go Mando.
control to Major Tom.
I go Mando, Maul, and you're kind of nodding along, and then I go Andor 3. You're like, like, you forgot that it was there. Like, okay.
Oh, my God. You made Andor number 3? Seriously?
Yes, because, well, and again, like, it's not because I'm trying to judge it for everybody. I'm saying
I don't know if we
for
can
me.
Be friends.
I still think Andor is a fantastic TV show, but it wasn't 100% my vibe, and that's fine. I still think it's a fantastic show. If I had to go for 4 and 5, I'm going with Rebels and Ahsoka, and probably in that order.
This is what you're driving me to, my friend.
Well, go right ahead. Help yourself, Lahain. But yeah, and if I had to widen this into movies as
Your
well.
bona fides are rejected, by the way.
I could still see, even if we included movies, I still think that Maul would make it into my top 5 right now. And that's really like based on the second half of the season. Like, because once you get through like episode 5, 6, and it starts just gaining momentum, and I start realizing like, wow, this lightsaber battle is really cool. And then I'm like, they've all been really cool. In their own unique way. Like each one has a little bit of a tweak, so that by the time you get to episode 10 and you're seeing like Maul versus 2 Inquisitors, Maul versus Vader, Maul and Daki versus Vader, and it's like you're like, I feel like I need a cigarette after this. Like this is Star Wars porn at this point. Like it is. I never thought I would see this. You know what I mean? Like I go back and watch Empire of Dreams, and you see that original Kenobi Darth Vader lightsaber duel is like, it's like, it's old school, like, you know, Shakespearean stage sword fighting. And you're like, okay. And now you see like Maul, Daki, and Vader. You're like, this is unbelievable. I did not think I would ever live to see something this wonderful. Like, Lord, you can take me now. You know, I have seen the mountaintop. But yeah, I could still see Maul working its way into the top 5.
Oh.
I could.
I don't disagree, but just Andor is number 3. Oh my God, we got problems. There's problems on the range, folks. Idiots disagree.
Like that's 246 episodes in, and this has been our gimmick since day 1.
I don't know if I can keep doing this.
If I can put up with your fantasy football bullshit, you can put up with Andor at 3.
Have some, Maul respected the Jedi Master. Respect the multi-time champion. Thank you very much.
I do respect you. That's why I didn't use an F-bomb.
Ah, damn it.
You're welcome.
All right.
You're welcome.
Let's see. What else?
No. You're welcome.
Huh?
You're welcome.
You can keep saying it. It doesn't, mean it.
Make him humble.
Oh, does it really? Okay. Okay. Did you have something to share about season 2? And I bring this up only because
yes.
it warms my heart that Uncle Todd included an article from someone from the portfolio we haven't heard from in a while. BamSmackPow.com. Lay it on me.
I feel dirty even just posting this.
Come on now.
Yeah, some sad news about Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord Season 2, which, I mean, it's sad news, but it's not unexpected if you really think about like what production time is. We will not be seeing Season 2, which apparently is a lead pipe cinch at this point, and Lucasfilm would be absolutely out of their gourds to not do this. But the earliest we will see this is 2027. Which makes total sense when you think about how much time goes into something like this.
Wait a minute. Season 1 just came out this year. I would expect it to not come until 2027. What?
I know.
What?
I actually think it's probably closer to 2028.
Clickbait.
If I had to guess. Because you figure they wrap this
Clickbait.
obviously for, April. So they probably wrap this before the beginning of the year. And even if they had an indication that, yes, we're going to do another one, you have to then come up with the scripts for that season, animation, all of this stuff. It's going to take a while. So 2027 at the earliest. I would guess 2028, unless they burn all the overtime on this.
2027.
But yeah, I also have a link for.
I'm going to wager
IMDb.
fall of 2027.
Dude, that's still quick, man. That's just over a year.
Hey, Filoni may have the stories already written. I mean, he's a pretty productive individual.
He's also a very busy guy these days. Like, he's head of Lucasfilm now, man. Is he co-head, or is it like I forget how that works.
He's the big jalapeno there.
He is? Like, it's not like a co-situation, like one dude's handling the business,
Nope.
one handling creative.
Nope. He is the big jalapeno.
It makes sense, though. I mean, who else are you going to pick, really?
Guy is
Favreau?
clearly obsessed with Star Wars and has
Yes.
a wonderful mind for it. So, absolutely.
Great choice. Fantastic show. Was there a big surprise or a favorite moment from season 1 that you want to share?
I am not going to place this. It's either in chapter 9 or chapter 10. Probably chapter 9, I think. When they're all on the run together, and I'm blanking on the suggestion that was made, but there was some suggestion that was made by one of the characters, and you have Maul and the Jedi Master and Devin kind of all turn and look at the character like, "The hell are you talking about?" It's like,
it was
you know what I'm talking about?
It was something that Vario said.
Vario, okay. Yeah,
I can't remember exactly what it was, but they're all
the
just
fact that there's like a double take done by Maul, like the fact they had the
it wasn't a double
mind.
Take. It was literally this sort of thing where they're all talking. It's like,
the heck are you smoking?
they all just turn.
Yes,
and it's like, dude,
I laughed at that. I thought that was hysterical. That was
Yes.
a surprise to me because they found a way somehow to bring Maul into some kind of slight moment of just comedic, pause. You know what I mean?
It goes back to what Irvin Kershner said when he was doing like Empire Strikes Back, where he's like, I need to have levity, but I can't have jokes.
Yes.
And it's that way of sneaking those moments in where it gives you a little chuckle. Because laughter is one of the ways that you let the pressure off.
Well, Maul's droid was practically the levity in that show. I mean, every time
totally
he talked, he's like, "Oh, I see you."
Which is great because it gives you that moment to like,
Yes.
okay, I breathe whenever Spybot, because I think that was.
Yeah, I think his name was Spybot or something like that. Yeah.
But I mean, it gives you that permission to just like let off a little bit of the pressure. So it's just because the thing is, you can build tension, but you can also get people so desensitized to the tension. If you don't give a little bit of a relief and then reapply, like, oh, okay, yeah, and I let them realize like, oh, this is, I don't become acclimatized to it. You keep on like changing it.
Yeah.
That's and again, just beautiful pacing, man. Like just even the way they built the episodes, like it just episode to episode to episode, like the tension just kept ratcheting up to a point where, again, like I was literally like episodes 9 and 10. I'm like, are we just offing everybody? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, are they gonna kill? Like, am I gonna see like Riley on a friggin' lightsaber at one point? Like, like skewered?
I gotta say, one of my favorite moments though was I don't know the character's name, but he was he was the last surviving brother that was from the race of Maul, and he's getting shot up, and he knows he's done for, and he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna go. He just runs and tackles a bunch of stormtroopers and takes them into the acid bath.
Yes. Again, like this went so friggin' hard, dude.
It did.
I saw that. I'm like,
damn, he just melted himself, but he took down 3 stormtroopers in the process.
So many times in episode 10, I was like, I cannot believe I'm watching this in a Star Wars animated show.
Well, and then let's not forget my other favorite part of this season was the 3 cowardice Mandalorians who decide to grab the ship and try to fly away only to get the crap kicked out of them at elevation 500 feet. They're like, damn, I should have stayed on the ground. That was so good the way they did that.
In moments like that, so there's an old ass video of Kurt Vonnegut talking, and I think I've posted this before in different show notes. Maybe I'll post it again. But when he's talking about the shape of stories and how like stories have a shape and all this, and he's like, oh, this is, and he starts off, he's like, oh, everything is great. Oh, damn it. And I think of that, like, I just hear his voice in moments like that when the ship gets blown up. I'm like, oh, hell.
I will say, I don't know if you caught it. I don't remember the exact episode / chapter this happened in.
You don't know chapter and verse? Damn you, heathen.
When I'm trying to remember, it was a car chase scene, but it wasn't the one where Devin gets the big car. It was a different scene.
Well, it's probably the escape from the police department when Maul.
Yes, when she grabbed one of the assault ships. When they're on the rooftop and they grab one of the assault ships and she's flying around. And there's a point where they're shooting at, or they fly by the stormtroopers, and you hear a stormtrooper he gets knocked off of that like multi-level bridge, and he's like, oh, it's just got that high pitch like Paul Bear, like,
yes,
oh yes.
Well, it was probably the Wilhelm scream.
I think so too. Yeah.
But no, that was another great chase. I completely forgot to even mention, because at that time I was watching that. I'm like, this is freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
So many moments in that when they're doing that stuff, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm seeing this, because it's one of those things where you're like, there's something about the animation that gives them permission to do stuff like that. That's really cool. And because it's animated, like I can't. I'm doing a very piss poor job of enunciating it, but the difference between animation and CGI. Just for whatever reason, in this weird sort of way, at least for me, made it feel more visceral and real.
Yeah.
I can't explain why. Maybe it's just me and some bad wiring, but yeah, I liked it.
Are you saying your 2 boots? Thank you, 2 boots.
I was sad when they made 2 boots take off the 2 boots.
And
even the little moment where he would always bring Lawson his calf and he would have the empty mug.
Yes.
Again, little stupid stuff, that someone thought of that, and they're like, hey, I've got a quirk for 2 boots.
Hey, aren't you? There it is.
You can beat my prices, but you can't beat my meat, baby.
No, you can't, baby.
Jeez. No matter what whiskey you're drinking.
I'm the American Dream Dusty Road, baby. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff.
So I would say we are bullish on this. I think this gets 2 thumbs up. 2 lightsabers up, if you will. How come you got that? Did I not leave them up long enough?
I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, lay the throws, baby. Yeah, no, fantastic show. Fantastic. And so
very
good.
Well done.
So glad that we're getting season 2.
Highly recommend.
Oh yeah.
Idiot stamp of approval. Bam, baby.
And I think we're very gradually working our way towards, and I'm wondering if anyone has done a timeline viewing order of Star Wars movies and shows. Like starting with like Phantom Menace, and working forward.
One of the best movies ever made, Phantom Menace.
Again, you and all the Star Wars revisionist history.
I'm telling you,
guys,
man, it is
all
phenomenal.
those people love to shat
Folks,
on Phantom Menace, and then all of a sudden,
don't listen to this man. Go watch Phantom Menace and see
all of a sudden
a
the
fine cinematic
sequel trilogy showed up, and they're like,
movie that was made.
It's like, oh, your internet history says otherwise. All that stuff you thought you deleted. Oh no. We have the Wayback Machine. It was archived.
Oh boy.
We have receipts.
And the paper. Oh, good.
And they were on a dot matrix. Back when you had to print one letter at a time.
No, not dot matrix. It's a typewriter.
Dot matrix was basically a typewriter. It was a slightly faster typewriter.
When my first 2 years in college, I got this. Essentially, it was a typewriter or word processor from this company called Brother.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And my parents got it for me. I was so thankful. I'm like, this is really cool. Really appreciate this. And then I write my first paper in college, and I go to print it out, and it is like 7 a.m. in the morning. My roommate was sleeping. And I go to print it. It was just like, oh my God, what the hell have I done?
It's like a typewriter, but 8 times as loud.
Holy crap. It was freaking huge. I mean, it was just like ridiculous. The amount of sound this thing generated. And my poor roommate was like, what? Are we being attacked? It's just like, good God almighty. Oh, yeah.
People ask him, when he has PTSD around loud sounds, like, were you in Nam? No, my roommate fired up his word processor at 7 a.m. one morning.
So what my roommate did, not actually to get back at me, it was just he had this alarm clock that was also it played cassette tapes. And so he put in a Harry Connick Jr. cassette tape to go off at a certain time. And so when I was, sleeping in because I didn't have a class till 10 a.m. and he had one at 8 a.m., of course, his, tape went off. And I don't know if you're familiar with Harry Connick Jr.'s work, but he was a big fan of the sharp trumpet horn. So there's a lot of like playing and all of a sudden, it's so shrill.
Those brass stabs.
And I kind of felt like maybe that was his way of again, great guy, not someone who would get back at me after the whole typewriter debacle. But when that tape played as his alarm, because it was, playing music, and those horns hit, I'm like, I'm up. I'm ready, baby. It's just like, good Lord. Oh my God. Anyways. So that's a little snapshot from the man they called Tim's college years.
Well, that's from Harry Connick Jr.'s kind of big band standards age. What you got to do is you got to go and you got to listen to Harry Connick Jr.'s. I'm not going to look it up now, but
even during Christmas when you hear I forget what Christmas song that plays on the radio a lot that he did, but there's just this and I don't mean it's shrill like it doesn't sound good. It's got a lot of volume to it. You know what I mean? Like it's trumpets playing to their full potential,
well,
and
it's that big band thing of the dynamic.
It's high, it's big dynamics. And so it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that in the context of trying to get some sleep, it doesn't exactly jive, if you know what I mean.
No. However, I will give you a freebie. This is not my and another thing, but you need to go listen to Harry Connick Jr.'s 1994 album She.
Okay.
It is a funk tour de force, and it is not like big band crooner Harry Connick Jr. It is a fantastic album. It's one of those deals where it's like I wish that he had recorded way more of the. I'd actually love to hear an album now of him doing this. Maybe he has done it. I haven't paid much attention to Harry Connick Jr., so maybe I'll do that after the show. But check that out, sir. I think you'll dig it.
Excellent.
Any more thoughts or things that you want to bring up here as we're rounding this out?
I think we covered it all, my friend. I know we didn't do a chapter by chapter breakdown of the series, but I think we covered the high points, and
we were damn close, sir. It's over 2 hours, so I think we've pretty much nailed this one hither and yon. So, and what do you have for And Another Thing, which is a recommendation to our viewers and listeners?
Well, to be honest, I'm rather lazy and I didn't have anything really in the hopper for this one, but I will say this. I saw a couple articles and I did check it out, and ironical is that BSG, Battlestar Galactica from the 2000s, is right now one of the top most streamed shows on Apple TV Plus.
Wait, is it like available like for streaming for freezies if you have Apple TV?
If you have Apple TV Plus, it is available for freezies.
Really?
To the point where my wife, who is an avid reader and, very good taste in shows, said to me the other day, I wouldn't mind if we rewatched Battlestar Galactica. And I'm like, oh, yes, sir. I could get on board with that.
It's like when your wife says in that very special tone, you want to take a nap. And you have a feeling that you're going to be sleeping, but not right away.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
You clear the schedule. You clear the schedule.
Your face says it all, baby.
I imagine Tim just running to the TV right then, fumbling with a remote. You hear the Bear McCreary drums.
Oh my God. Oh, that's hysterical. Oh my God. So funny.
But yeah,
so yes,
I'm guessing this has to do something with Darth Crashdown being a part of it. We've been talking about
graph number 1, graph number 2.
And Chief just over there.
He's like, you're not actually supposed to like walk through all the graphs. It's more of a guideline than
like the one and only bonding moment between Baltar and Chief Tyrrell. Just
my God.
Can you believe this friggin' chucklehead right now? I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen the 2000s version of Battlestar Galactica, do check it out if you have an Apple TV Plus account, and you will not be disappointed. It is a phenomenal series. We are very, very high on it, and in fact, we have several episodes from our early days dedicated to it.
Very early days.
Oh, and let me tell you, we talked for a while. I'm saying like 3+ hours we talked about some of those episodes. Holy moly.
It was fun.
It was fun. Got to do it again at some point.
That was back when you were still drinking beer, sir. That's how long ago that was.
It was. It was before my low-carb days.
It's been
my
a hot
low-carb, meat-eating, cheese-eating, low-carb days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but that is my And Another Thing. Battlestar Galactica on Apple TV Plus, and as I put in our show notes, that is all. How about you, sir? What is your And Another Thing?
My And Another Thing is so for Week and Geek Wednesday, I went with a cover song, and I'm going to go with another one for Free Range EDC Friday. This is Matt Duncan's cover of Everlong, originally done by the Foo Fighters. A very kind of jazzy R&B sort of version of this. And I got to be honest, I don't know very much about Matt Duncan, and I have not delved into his discography all that much, mostly because I've been busy. Like I said, I barely finished watching Maul with enough time to make this show, so I damn sure haven't delved into Matt Duncan's work. However, it is really cool to hear somebody do a completely different take on a song, and yet still feel like there's a bit of a core of the emotion there. It's just expressed in a different way. So definitely go check that out, and then go check out everything else the cat's done. I mean, I'm sure it's probably at least decent. I'm guessing, but that song is really good, and I believe, it is on streaming platforms and stuff like that. I have the YouTube link, but you should be able to download it, depending on what streaming service you might have, or hey, go to his website and maybe you'll be able to buy a hard copy of it, which I would recommend more and more these days, where stuff seems to be appearing and disappearing off of streaming. So maybe consider that physical media. That is my plug for that. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's time for us to wrap this sucker up. Thank you all for listening. We do so appreciate your listenership and your viewership. You can find all of our audio episodes at freerangeidiocy.com. You can download them one at a time or download them wholesale or even subscribe to the Podbean app. If you decide, hey, I've got enough apps in my life, unless it's mozzarella sticks, I ain't buying, then you go to the podcast purveyor of your choice, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, what have you. Just search for Free Range Idiocy on there. I'm sure that we are there. There's been some oddballs that I've seen pop up, everything from like Gary's Podcast Emporium all the way down. We are pretty much everywhere that you can imagine, and places that you probably don't even want us. And then if you want full video, well, boy, have we got a treat for you. You can find us on the YouTubes, youtube.com/@freerangeidiocy. You can also get full video episodes on Spotify as well. If you have any, the socials, got to get on the socials. We are on Instagram and Facebook. Both of those are @freerangeidiocy. Now, if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, suggestions, or offers of bribery, send those to tim@freerangeidiocy.com, and he'll get back to you forthwith, if not sooner. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have spent enough time talking here for probably 3 people. And quite honestly, I'm parched. Actually, I had quite enough of this over the course of the evening, but I'm still parched. And now it's time for me to turn this show over to the least idiotic member of the 2 idiots who are on this show. Granted, that's a very low bar to clear, but hey, what the hell? He does it with grace and aplomb every single time that we record. But not before I ask the second most important question in all of human history. The first, of course, for all the TOP fans out there, is what is hip? The second being, what in the high holy hell did we learn this episode? Anything?
We've learned the following, my friend.
Sweet.
We have learned that the show Maul Shadowlord is something to take in, watch, digest, process, enjoy, and just sit there and be thankful that you were able to watch a fine piece of art.
Yeah.
We here at Free Range EDC are bullish on this and are very much looking forward to a season 2, which we hope is coming in 2027. We've also learned, we've also learned, that Uncle Todd, the man they call Tim, very much enjoyed the animation, very much enjoyed the characters, the story, all of it. Total package on this one, with one minor nit to pick on the man they call Tim's side. But Uncle Todd, no nits to pick at all. Perfect series.
He's the red.
Mr. LaForge, engage. And
Star Wars.
We've also learned that
pissed off like 50% of the population, sir.
Well, I had to throw him a curveball.
Don't cross the streams.
We've also learned that when it comes to our top Star Wars shows, Uncle Todd is way off base, putting Andor at number 3. Andor has to be at number 1.
You're wrong.
That is where it belongs.
You're wrong.
And that's just how it is, ladies and
You're
gentlemen.
wrong.
That's how it is.
You're wrong.
With all that being said,
You're wrong.
we thank you for your listenership. We thank you for
You're
your
wrong.
support. And as we like to close things out here on the range, be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The range is closed for now. See ya.
I like a Mussolini.
It's like I took the wrong week to quit drinking.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
I think you've had about enough.
Well, I think you're wrong, you increasingly attractive-looking woman. You're really pretty.
Oh, stop.
No, I'm serious. You could be in magazines. You could. And not just like Jugs or Creamsicle. Call me. She won't call.
Oh, here's a pleasant sight. Cirrhosis the Wonder Dog.
I'm not drunk, all right? I just have a speech impediment. And a stomach virus. And an inner ear infection.
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you.
Struck a nerve, have I? Which I find rather impossible to believe. You think this is over? This is not over! You have not heard the last! No more Mr. Nice Guys!
Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
Simply delicious, Marcus.
I keep telling your mom she should take some cooking lessons from you. All she do is cook pork. I'll bet we eating everything on the pig, from the rooter to the tutor.
The whole pig. So say we all. So say we all.
Gosh, I love Uncle Corny just laying that lick on us.
Golden
Just
pipes
every
I mean,
time.
How has he not recorded an
Mussolini.
album?
Oh,
I would, how is Corny not like recorded? Like Uncle Corny sings the great wrestling themes.
I don't know.
Of history. Like, wouldn't you love for him to be recording the Demolition theme?
Oh, that
or
would
perhaps
be good.
Jive Soul Bro.
I mean, that would just be I would line up number one for that. I would love to hear that.
I think it'd be great. Or for him just to do an all a cappella version of Bret Hart's theme.
Just to hear him say, here comes the axe, and here comes the smasher. Where's my Domino pizza? Demolition walking disaster.
You need a Diet Sprite. All right, I guess it's time for us to get the hell out of here.
Let's close this thing out, baby. Close the range.
Now get the hell out of here!